When the conditions are ripe, we meet again. If you had not once walked away, and I had not once begun to come, then perhaps today there would be no meeting at all. If you had stopped hoping, and I had stopped waiting, our paths might never have crossed. Nothing truly ends at its beginning. Reunion and parting are not decisions we make so much as movements the world makes through us, turnings in the great current of causes and conditions. So we learn to follow what is natural, to arrive without forcing, to leave without violence, to live without compulsive making. And still, we cling. The heart is skilled at tying knots. It gathers one bright thread of love and says, "If only I could remain beside the one I cherish. If only we could be completed together all the way to the far edge of life." But what then? Where does that love go? In the endless blooming and withering of all things, the mind cannot forget that forever is a word we borrow when we are afraid. It asks how long always can last, what until the end truly means. It asks whether the end is a line in time or simply the moment the mind stops insisting. Day after day, here among high mountains and deep forests, I watch the seasons change like a quiet teaching. I lift my head and see spring passing. I lower my gaze and feel winter arriving. Autumn flowers open too early and fall too soon, and the wheel of arising and dissolving turns with patient certainty. 10 years later, nothing can return to its first color. Eyelashes fade, lips lose their bright stain. Even memory is worn down by time's slow, steady hand. You walk a short stretch through the dust of the world, and the spirit already creases. The soul, too, becomes older in its own way. Older not only with age, but with the accumulation of longing, comparison, regret, and unsaid prayers. So it is. Separated for years, returning to old towns and familiar rooms, you and I cannot be as we were. The distances of samsara are not measured in miles. Birth and death divide. Oceans of suffering stand between. One goes, one stays. And even when two bodies sit in the same room, there can be a distance larger than geography. The distance created by two minds living in different eras. One still trapped in yesterday, the other already half leaning toward tomorrow. Yet to love someone does not require that we remain bound to longing. Peace does not need to be punished by waiting. Sometimes the kindest answer is a light smile. Sometimes it is enough to live quietly, to be gentle with the present moment until the mind grows clear and wide again. Even in this body of 5 aggregates, the inner stance can be free. When the heart becomes still, the present becomes spacious. Breath becomes meditation beside a cup of tea. The mind no longer shakes at every passing shadow. And perhaps one day we will meet again, on a quiet day, in a peaceful month, in a year that is tender and bright. Somewhere, happiness has never been absent. Somewhere, love has never thinned. When conditions are enough, we meet again. And we meet again with open hands. Because the hardest thing in this world may be this: to release what we once held as life itself. To fall in love with anything is to invite the subtle birth of bondage. The fingers tighten, the mind circles, fear begins its long pacing. We imagine departure, and grief rises like mountains. It is not only love that binds us, but the thick ego beneath it, the old habit of acquiring, the ancient appetite for possession. We have trained ourselves across lifetimes to take in, to hold close, to keep. We confuse holding with safety, and we confuse safety with love. We forget that love is not a fence. Love is a horizon. Ordinary people do let go, but rarely by choice. They release only when they can no longer endure the strain of holding, when sorrow empties their strength and forces their hand open. That is also letting go, but its taste is different. One is release, the other is collapse. One carries clarity, the other leaves bruises. One says, "I understand." The other says, "I surrender because I have no strength left to fight." The world, however, does not judge us for this. It simply teaches. Again and again, it offers the same lesson in different forms. Whatever is grasped becomes heavy, and whatever is released becomes light. Even happiness, when held too tightly, begins to bruise. If we sit down and speak honestly to ourselves, what remains of the things we once adored? Often, only ash heaps of memory that cannot be shaped into speech. Often, the lingering humiliation of days we thought we had outgrown. Often, wounds that have gone pale but not quiet, still aching with the dream of some future heaven. We collect months and years, happiness and sorrow, and weave them into a hallucination called my life. We dream inside dreams and forget to inhabit the one moment we are actually given. This is one of the most subtle tragedies. We are present only as a body, while the mind is elsewhere. We eat a meal but taste only the future. We sit with a friend but hear only yesterday's echoes. We walk under the sky but carry a roof of anxiety inside the chest. A life can pass like this. An entire lifetime spent rehearsing what has already happened and negotiating with what has not yet arrived. And so we forget the road. We forget the way home. We forget the ocean of tears that has been drowning human life for as long as human life has existed. Most of all, we forget to love ourselves, not the flattering love that indulges, but the steady love that rescues. We do not see that we too are beings in need of saving. If we cannot save ourselves, whom can we truly save? Saving does not always mean dramatic change. Sometimes it means a single honest breath. Sometimes it means telling the truth as to our own heart without decorating it with excuses. Sometimes it means admitting that what we call love was also fear. Fear of loneliness, fear of insignificance, fear that without another person we will have no proof that we are worthy of tenderness. What we once clung to becomes roadside dust. Wind lifts it and carries it into far distances, and we are left sitting with cold ash in our hands, mourning what we insisted must endure. Until the day we wake, we remain suspended in fragile haste, half living, half yearning. But one day, The traveler awakens from glittering illusions. One day, a hand lifts to catch a drop of pure water, and the old fatigue of tragedy is rinsed away. Then the real question arrives: who am I beneath all this? Beneath the names I have collected, beneath the roles I have played, beneath the disappointments I have rehearsed, and the victories I have clung to, who remains? Amid gain and loss, amid coming and going, what sunlight falls and vanishes into open sky? To understand is to love completely. This is why, in a world crowded with faces, the rarest treasure is not romance or triumph, but being truly understood. People pass each other endlessly. In millions of instants, there may be a few meetings. In those meetings, perhaps a small stretch of life and death is walked side by side. Sometimes, in that brief companionship, we meet someone who sees us, not as an idea, not as a role, but as a living heart. And we look up at the sky, down at the earth, and ask the moon and stars to witness our years. Acquaintances fill the world. How many are true confidants? A confidant does not need to fix us. If they can listen with understanding and love, our suffering already grows lighter. In Mahayana Buddhism, there is the figure of the one who listens deeply, so beings may suffer less. Listening is not passive. It is a kind of courage to sit before another person's pain without turning away, without making it about ourselves, without trying to control the shape of their grief. And if the heart is sincere, anyone can become such a presence in this world. Not by being perfect, but by being willing. Not by having answers, but by having space. Not by speaking beautifully, but by not abandoning what is difficult to witness. People hurt each other because they do not understand. If human eyes could truly see into the roots of another's pain, see the long histories of injury carried across countless lives, no one could bear to add even a grain more suffering. Those who cause harm are often themselves harmed. They lack the conditions, the luck, the practice, the grace to transform pain into wisdom. Someone full of anger, someone difficult to love, needs more tenderness, not less. Yet because we do not understand, when we are hurt, we throw pain back, and suffering multiplies like a fire fed by wind. This is the old pattern of the world. Pain looking for a home. Hurt traveling from hand to hand like a hot coal. We do not mean to pass it on, and yet we do, because we do not know what else to do with it. The untrained heart tries to heal itself by making someone else bleed. The one who has deep wisdom and great love is the one who can hold their own pain without scattering it onto others. When suffering's fire touches such a person, it must stop. It turns into wind and cloud and passes into freedom, leaving behind only quiet ground and yellow petals falling without sound. This is not weakness. This is a strength that does not need to prove itself. This is a courage that does not require an enemy. If one day someone sends you a gift box filled with tears and grief, open it calmly. Look at it with clean eyes. Smile. Wrap it carefully and set it down somewhere. Do not curse the sender. It is not that they are wicked. It is only that they do not yet understand. And you, do not be timid for 100 years. How many times have we sworn forever and still walked past each other in the end? The one you promised to cross the dusty roads with, to watch calmness drift over misty peaks, to follow clouds like a blessing. One day you realize that in a single instant, you have become each other's past. Oh, old beloved, where are you now? If you are still somewhere within peace, can you loosen your grip and let the old days float away? We live now and mourn what was. The body is here, but the mind travels elsewhere. We keep promising and waiting and aching, telling ourselves, tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow will finally be fine. It is a kind of helpless faith in fate, bred from a fragile ego, soft, wounded, secretly proud. Anyone who has waited for someone far away knows how longing claws at peace. Anyone who has staked their happiness on a future day knows the deep grooves of disappointment. But tomorrow is not guaranteed to improve. If we cannot be certain what tomorrow will bring, why not live fully and gently in today? Do not wait for tomorrow. Be okay now, because life is only ever this present moment. This moment is beautiful because it is singular. It is eternal because you are here. And here is the secret. The present does not demand grandness. It only asks for sincerity. It asks that you show up. It asks that you stop bargaining with time. It asks that you stop measuring your worth by the return of someone else's footsteps. Even if the present is a swamp of fear and grief, remember, it is not the end. Nothing comes and goes without causes. Loss and sorrow are not random punishments. They are teachers. Life is not as terrifying as the unexamined terror we carry. The most frightening thing is often the shadow we have not dared to look at directly. And then we come to love, the place where sweetness and suffering sit at the same table. Why does love hurt? Why does separation tear the heart? Perhaps because the root of suffering in love is the ego, clenching, insisting, refusing to open. The border between love and grasping is faint. Is it love, or is it the ego's hunger wearing love's mask? Desire and ownership often hide inside romance. We draw a line through reality. Me, the one I love, us, and then the rest of the world. We want our mark, our claim, our proof. We want the world to recognize what we have named. This is why the language of love so often becomes the language of possession. My person, my forever, my home. We do not notice how quickly beloved becomes belonging. We do not notice how I miss you sometimes means I cannot stand being alone with myself. But true compassion, universal love, does not need to announce itself. It does not demand possession. It does not crave repayment. Like sunlight, it shines without boundaries or discrimination, nourishing in silent steadiness. Immersed in such love, The heart no longer trembles with jealousy, no longer panics at loss. The lover and the beloved are no longer locked in a tight duel of me and you. The old divide softens. Love becomes wide. Practice, true practice, is the widening of love. It is the slow transformation from I into we, from you into everyone, until even we dissolves, and only love remains, clear, quiet, without grasping. And perhaps this is what spiritual maturity looks like. Not the absence of feeling, but the presence of freedom within feeling. So, thank you for letting go. Today's separation is often the echo of yesterday's holding. We once held so many things: a tangible object, a glowing title, a person's shadow mistaken for the whole sky, memories bright or fading. And what remains after all that gripping? Hardened calluses in the heart, panic, worry, pain, haunting. Grasping is not aligned with nature. When we enter this world and when we leave it, our hands are empty. Why burden ourselves with what fits only in a palm and forget the vast sky above? A person's view of life is as wide as what their hands can release. Peace is not kept in anyone else's hands. You are the steward of your life. To hold or to let go is yours to decide. And so we return. I lift the beaded curtain and watch rain slide down the window. Wind carries the cold of the mountains, trying to appear fierce. Trees droop beneath the storm, but on the cliff face a tiny wildflower opens calmly, receiving the rain. The sky roars, the flower remains. Sitting with tea, watching that flower in the rain, my heart has never been so peaceful. Peace is not found only in quiet places. Peace is the heart's ability to remain unshaken in the storm. What must come will come. What must happen will happen. When conditions gather, the fruit forms. Wanting or not wanting does not change the season. We pass unpeaceful days only through acceptance and a generous heart. Nothing lasts forever, not joy, not sorrow. Life may stir the surface, but it need not disturb the deep riverbed of the mind. What turns inward becomes steady. What runs outward becomes scattered and anxious. And perhaps this is the simplest teaching. Do not greet only the new day, the new week, the new year. Learn to greet this moment, because peace is not far away. Peace is here, now. And now, if you look closely, is not a thin slice of time. It is a door. It is a refuge. It is the only place where life can actually be lived. The past is a story we keep retelling. The future is a silhouette we keep chasing. But this moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this quiet awareness is real. It is humble and it is complete. To live here is not to abandon memory or responsibility. It is to stop living as a hostage. It is to stop being dragged by what has been and haunted by what might be. It is to sit down inside your own life and finally meet yourself without fear. And when you meet yourself in that way, you begin to understand the world differently. You begin to see that reunion is a gift, not a guarantee. That love is a practice, not a possession. That letting go is not the end of love, but the purification of it. When the conditions are ripe, we meet again. When the conditions change, we bow and let the river carry us onward. Open hands, clear eyes, a quiet heart.